Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I cover the rest of the week that was in pro wrestling. So that includes Ring of Honor, SmackDown, Rampage, and Collision. Definitely an interesting mix of pro wrestling and storylines. So let's jump right into it and let's cover Ring of Honor. And we start off with the pure title on the line, as Nick Wayne, making his Ring of Honor debut, challenges Katsuyori Shibata. Now, if you don't know Pure Rules by now, I'll go over it. Basically, it's normal match, pinfall submissions count. You'll only get 3 rope breaks, so if you break that third one, and you're in the ropes in a submission or pinfall, it still counts. If you hit a person with a closed fist, you get a warning. Do it again, you get disqualified. However, a title can change hands on a disqualification. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. So this match was absolutely great. It was a heck of a way to kick off Ring of Honor. Decent enough back and forth. It did take Nick Wayne a little bit to get in rhythm with Shibata, but ultimately it did look really, really good. And then, back to back, Shibata using rope breaks for Nick Wayne, 2 and 3. And then Wayne went for Wayne's Mortal. That gets countered right into the sleeper hold, which leads right to the penalty kick for the Shibata win and retention. I'm going to give this match a thumbs up. It was a little slow to get started, but ultimately it was a really solid matchup. Next up, we got an interview with Big Shotty Lee Johnson. Starts out saying, here we go again. Gotta deal with Shane Taylor and its boy. In comes Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty. With Lee Moriarty saying, hey, no hard feelings from last week. We're gonna leave the past in the past. And let's focus on tonight. And they shake hands. So we're getting a battle of the Lees. So let's wait for that. Next up, we got Diamante taking on Carrie Bright, making her Ring of Honor debut. This was a squash match. Let's call it what it was. Diamante was in front for most of this match. Bright did get some stuff in, but not enough to pick up the win. And then after a crossroads, which I don't know what she calls it, but it's definitely the crossroads, you get a Diamante victory. Then go backstage with an interview with the Infantry and Willie Mack as they're looking to pick up the 6-man tag team titles. And it's revealed that this is the Infantry's first title match in Ring of Honor. And Willie Mack says, watch out. Don't underestimate us. And we're going to be new champions. So that's going to be our main event. We'll get to that. Next up, we got the Battle of the Lees as Lee Johnson takes on Lee Moriarty. And honestly, this blend of technical skill from Lee Moriarty with the high flying of Lee Johnson, it worked. They have such great chemistry. And ultimately, they work really well together. Lee Johnson was going for a top rope move, was distracted by Shane Taylor, who's ringside. And then, after a drop kick, your winner, Lee Moriarty. I can't tell you the last time a drop kick ended a match. A little surprising. I hope they follow through with this rivalry, because I think it could be fun still. Next up, we got Trish Adora taking on Mercedes Martinez, and wow, this was a fun little match, although it did go a little bit short than what I was hoping for. Yeah, both women definitely had some great chemistry together. Trish Adora was looking for her finisher move. And then Diamante, who has been teaming with Mercedes, gets up on the apron, distracts the ref. Mercedes with a big old knee strike right into the brass city sleeper for the submission victory. Like I said, while a little short, it was still a very entertaining match. And then we get to our next matchup, where it's the women's title on the line, as Athena takes on Angelina Love, who is a former, not Ring of Honor Women's Champion, but the Women of Honor Champion. If you don't know that, in the original iteration of Ring of Honor, they did introduce a women's title, but it wasn't the Ring of Honor Women's title. It's a little confusing, but it's still kind of the lineage, if that makes sense. So Angelina Love did hold it for a bit, and now she's getting a title opportunity. And honestly, this was a fun little match. Nice mix up of talents who, honestly, I never thought I'd see this match. This is something I never thought I'd see, but I'm glad ROH delivered it to us. And, yeah, at one point, Athena goes for the O-face, but Angelina Love blocks it. Hits a Botox injection for a 2 count, which was really, really weird. And after a roll through, knee strike, your winner, Athena. Again, a basic move winning a match. You know, don't see that much these days. Then we roll right into a Griff Garrison Cole Carter interview, in which Griff Garrison says, look, I never fully agreed to this partnership, but for tonight, this is our trial run, and this is a good opportunity for me, and I'm ready for tonight. So, we're going to get that tag team match a little bit later. We then roll into a 6-woman tag team match playa, as the Renegades, that's Robin and Charlotte, team with legit Layla Hirsch to take on Kyrie Hogan, Sky Blue, and fellow Long Islander Willow Nightingale. And honestly, this match was a lot of fun. It was controlled chaos, if that makes any sense to you. A lot of good back and forth from everybody. But your winner via the code BLUE, Willow Nightingale, Kira Hogan, and Sky Blue. I'm going to give this match a thumbs up. It was a lot of fun to watch. And, yeah, it's going to be interesting. We then go backstage for an interview with Tony Nese and Angelico and Serpentico of the Spanish Announce Project, with Nese pretty much saying, look, if you want to join the Premier brand, you're going to have to go through some group training with me. But if we're going to pick up the win tonight, you got to do what I say. So, yeah, that 6-man tag is coming up in a little bit. We then roll right into Ethan Page taking on fellow Long Islander VSK, making his Ring of Honor return. He was with Sonny Kiss, Slim J. What were their names? I forget the stable. Anyway, yeah, this match was pretty much an extended squash, with Ethan Page hitting a middle rope cutter to pick up the win. Honestly, nothing wrong with a good little squash match. I do hope Ethan Page gets something a bit more down the line. Like maybe he's the one to dethrone Samoa Joe. I don't know. We'll see. Next up, we got the 6-man tag as Tony Nese and the Spanish Announce Project take on El Hijo del Vikingo, the current AAA Mega Champion, Gravity, and Metalik. And honestly, this was a really good mix of styles between the luchadors and the not-so-luchadors, although Tony Nese kept up really well. There were points that Angelico and Serpentico tagged themselves in off of Nese. There was a scary moment at one point where Vikingo got dumped to the outside. I don't exactly know what happened, but apparently reports are he got taken out with a wheelchair via the wheelchair, so speedy recovery if you are still suffering. Ultimately, match ends with a big old senton bomb with your winners Metalik, Gravity, and Vikingo. We then cut back to an Ethan Page interview saying, like, yeah, I have 2 wins. 2 wins in a row, that's a roll. And I have felt something I haven't felt in a while. I've been through my ups and downs through the years, this past year. And while it has felt like it's been a couple of downs, the lone bright spot is I wrestled for the AEW title in my hometown. Now, that night things didn't go my way, but I ended up touching gold. I was in that match. And now I figured Ring of Honor is a place for competition. I want to be competitive and not let go of the gold. So, we got a clear path for Ethan Page. He wants gold. We'll see where this goes. I'm honestly kind of excited. We then get tag team action as Cole Carter teams up with Griff Garrison. Who the heck is Griff Garrison? I don't know. I know who it is. As they take on Action Andretti and Darius Martin. Now, this was a good match, but I think the storyline was Cole Carter and Maria Kanellis, who accompanied them to the ring, trying to cheat throughout the match, but Griff Garrison saying, like, no, we don't cheat, we don't do it like this. This is Ring of Honor. Meanwhile, you have Andretti and Martin flying around like lunatics. Then after a big old suplex, a 450 splash, your winners, Action Andretti and Darius Martin. So, Garrison and Cole, Carter, let's see where that alliance lies now. And fine Alamo, we go to our main event of Ring of Honor, and it's the 6-man tag team titles on the line, as the Embassy, that's Brian Cage, Tola Yona, and Bishop Khan, take on the Infantry, that's Carly Bravo and Captain Sean Dean, as they team with Willie Mack. And honestly, this was a really, really good mashup of styles. You got the big old brutish powerhouses, but then you had the speed and finesse of the Infantry and Willie Mack. Mack hits a stunner near the end, but that gets broken up. Mack then with a sky high, which that was impressive for only a 2 count. Then Brian Cage with a big power slam, and then an open the gates from all 3 to win and retain. I'm going to give this big thumbs up and my must-see seal of approval. This was a heck of a matchup, and we'll see what goes on Rampage. Not yet. So that is that for Ring of Honor. We then go to SmackDown. And we start off with a John Cena promo. Haven't had one of these in a while. And he pretty much comes out, thanks the fans again. Pretty much saying, this journey back has taken me all over the place. I've been an authority figure. I've been a ref. I've been a host. I've been a backstage correspondent. But tonight is a special night. I don't want to be any of those things. I want to compete and have a match here tonight. And while I am getting in on the years, I'm going to ask your permission. Do you want to see me have a match tonight? Crowd immediately says yes. And while I'm not the biggest John Cena guy, it would be fun to see him have a match. And then he goes on, and it's obvious that you've been watching WWE for a bit. I got issues with the Bloodline. Now, obviously, I can't fight the two of them at once. Obviously, talking about Jimmy, who I guess is back with the Bloodline. I'm not even sure. Pretty much saying, look, I can't fight them both on my own. That's why I brought out a partner. A phenomenal partner. Out comes AJ Styles. He gets on the mic. Pretty much says, let me get this straight. You and me are going to take on the Bloodline. Then he pretty much says, Bloodline, if you want some, come get some. Classic John Cena promo right there from AJ. In which, honestly, you look back, AJ Styles and John Cena feud, that was fun. Like, that was, 2012 maybe? Anyway, Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa then come out. Paul Heyman's kind of trailing them. Solo and Jimmy get on the apron. Looks like they're about to handle business. But then they drop down from the apron and they leave. Then we cut to backstage with Cena and Styles confronting Adam Pearce, who is the kind of authority figure for both Raw and SmackDown, saying, look, we want this match tonight. Can you do it? Then Pearce says, look, this isn't my call, obviously. I know I'm the authority figure. I gotta talk to Paul Heyman about this. So we're going to see where that goes. Our first match of the evening, we got a tag team match player as the LWO, that's Santos Escobar and US Champion Rey Mysterio, take on the Street Profits. And honestly, this was a nice little match. Good little high-flying moves from Escobar and Rey Mysterio. And then Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins obviously kept up. Then after a blocked powerbomb into the roll-up, your winners, Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio. Which, that was definitely a fun match. We'll get to the reactions for Lashley a bit later. We then get a little recap of The Rock's return last week, which a lot of people are now wanting him to challenge Roman at WrestleMania 40 for the title, which we'll see about that. We then get something kind of interesting, I guess. We have Austin Theory coming out from the crowd. He's throwing a little hissy fit, yelling at the commentator, saying, oh, you shouldn't be showing this. This is bull. He surprised me. Blah, blah, blah. Doing basic heel stuff. Then officials come down. They collect him. And then we get the funniest vignette I think I've ever seen. We get Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. They have a nice little vignette. They pretty much confirm what fans have been theorizing, that they cursed the women's tag belts. So, nice little continuity there, WWE. I'll give you that. Then we get Austin Theory and Adam Pearce backstage, with Pearce saying, look, you shouldn't have done that on this shoshow. We would have given you something to do. And Before Theory could walk off, they run into the Brawling Brutes. That's Ridge Holland and Butch, aka Pete Dunne. They pretty much say, "Oh, what you crying about, man?" Theory's like, "I'm not in the mood, man. You want to do this right here? We can." Then in comes Grayson Waller, who suggests, "Look, we're going to handle this in another way. Why don't we tag up and take on these fools?" So that match is pretty much set for later on in the night. Then we get the Street Profits in the locker room. They walk up to Bobby Lashley, who pretty much says, "Look, you guys had Rey Mysterio and the LWO beat, but obviously you didn't get the win. If you can't pull the trigger and get the job done, I'm going to find someone who will." So, Street Profits' jobs are on the line. So I guess we're going to see them be more heelish going forward. Which, honestly, if I'm WWE, I'm replacing the Street Profits entrance music. As much as I like them, they don't fit these characters right now. We then get the WWE Women's World title on the line as Asuka challenges Io Sky. And who comes out right before the bell rings? Oh, it's Charlotte Flair, because of course it is. And honestly, they have a really solid matchup. Like, I wouldn't say it's anything super special, but it got the job done for me. A lot of nice back and forth. Asuka going for a ton of submissions, but eventually she gets out of it, including on the last Asuka lock try. She's very near the rope, so Bayley comes over, puts Io's foot on the bottom rope. Then Charlotte comes around, off a commentary, comes around, kicks Bayley right in the mush. Looks like, but then, I guess Io gets out of, Io's out of the, Asuka lock, hits a moonsault to pick up the victory and retain her title. Then we get a look at Solo and Jimmy backstage. Pierce walks in, pretty much says, "Look, we gotta discuss this contract for this tag team match." Then Heyman says the words, "As long as it's not for tonight, sure, we'll sign it." "You're good." Shoos him away. Pierce leaves. Then Heyman turns to Jimmy, says, "Look, decisions like that you've made are usually handled by Roman, your tribal chief." And then Jimmy's like, "Yeah, we'll handle our business." Jimmy walks off. And then Solo picks up his thumb, pretty much says, "After tonight, there's nobody who's going to be left to face us at Fastlane." So, looks like we're going to have a big old brawl. Then we get a pretty deadly vignette in which we see Prince, Alec Prince, I think his name is, who we see going through like strength training, and it's sappy, but it works. Like, it's like, "Oh, I had a setback." Then we get a real doctor saying he has a separated shoulder. He's gonna be fine. Like, I didn't really watch Pretty Deadly when they were in NXT, but their transition to the main roster has been awesome. I cannot wait to see them back. We then get the Brawling Brutes, that's Ridge Holland and Butch, aka Pete Dunne, taking on Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. And I'm gonna say, while not as good as Theory's and Waller's first match as a team, it was still a really good match. The chemistry was there. They worked really, really well together. Ultimately, after a stunner, 8-down down combination, your winners, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory. Nice little TV match. Definitely was a fun one. We then get the start to the Cena AJ Styles versus Bloodline contract signing, in which that match will be made official for Fastlane. In which I'm a little sad this match didn't happen on SmackDown, but it'll be interesting to have this on the card. Although we are 2 weeks out from Fastlane and there hasn't been a match announced. So, anyway, John Cena comes out, does his thing. We're waiting on AJ Styles. His music plays, but then it cuts to backstage where Jimmy Uso is just destroying AJ Styles. Cena then books it to the back to try and help. And then off of looked like a speaker rig, Solo Sikoa with a big old splash right onto AJ Styles. With officials trying to get to them. Solo and Jimmy then walk off, with Cena arriving just too late. Cena is then taken out on a stretcher, and he's put in the back of an ambulance, with then Carl Anderson turning to Cena, saying, "I knew Styles shouldn't have gotten involved in the Bloodline." Gets in the back of the ambulance, they leave. Then we get in the arena, Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso coming out. Then Solo just throws the entire contract signing setup out of the ring. Then Paul Heyman gets on the mic, he starts getting the bluebirds, and he comes up with a great response. "You can boo my cashier tuchus, kosher tuchus, all you want." Paulie never changed, brother. And then it's revealed, this contract was signed by Cena, but not a tag team partner. So you're without one for Fastlane. Then Jimmy grabs the microphone, pretty much says, "Look at what happens when you mess with the Bloodline. If you're smart, you'd go far away from the Bloodline, and you would have left in the ambulance with AJ. You the two, Cena, and we, John Cena rolls out. He starts fighting with Jimmy and Solo, but its numbers are too much. Jimmy with the super kick, Solo with the Samoan spike, Uso splash, and then the Bloodline signs their name for the contract. So, for the moment, it looks like we are getting the Bloodline versus John Cena. Now, reports were LA Knight was supposed to be John Cena's partner and come out and help him. Sadly, before SmackDown started, he came down with COVID, so he could not be there. Feel better soon, LA Knight. Can't wait to see you come back. Better than ever. So, either LA Knight's going to be the partner, or it's going to be someone else. We'll see. So, that was SmackDown. A very, I'd say, above average episode. It wasn't bad, but it I'm going to say this. It hasn't felt like Raw. There definitely is some story progression instead of Raw where they're just spinning their wheels. Alright, now we get into Rampage, baby, in which it takes place from Arthur Ashe, and it is a special 2-hour episode. Now, I was there for the first ever Grand Slam AEW put on at Arthur Ashe, and I'm going to tell you that 2-hour Rampage was way too much. I don't think they should keep doing this. However, show itself was a lot of fun, and we start off with a tag team match playa as Christian Cage and Luchasaurus take on Darby Allin and Sting. And honestly, this was a very, very good match. A lot of good stuff from all four guys. I still can't believe Sting is wrestling right now. Like, that's insane. We had, kind of sort of near the end, a Scorpion Death Drop, Coffin Drop combination, which, that was impressive. Only got a 2 count. Christian Cage goes for the Unprettier, but then Nick Wayne up on the apron causes the distraction. Darby Allin with the roll-up. Your winners, Sting and Darby Allin. Now, it was revealed that Christian Cage and Luchasaurus are going to take on Darby Allin in a triple threat match. It's probably going to be a handicap match for Collision. So, we're going to get to that in a little bit. Next up, we got a mixed 6-person tag team match as Orange Cassidy teams with Hook and Chris Statlander as they take on former Jericho Appreciation Society members Cool Hand Angelo Parker, Daddy Magic Matt Menard, and Anna Jay. And honestly, this was a surprisingly good matchup. A lot of good back and forth from the two teams. Anna Jay tries for the Queen Slayer. That gets blocked off. Hook and Orange Cassidy then hit their finishers on, the fellas, because that might be a little bit of a no-no. Roll up, your winners, Chris Statlander, Hook, and Orange Cassidy. Well, definitely a bit of a thrown-together matchup. It worked really, really well. We then get a QTV segment. Pretty much with Johnny Mundo. I'm not going to call him Johnny TV. Pretty much saying, look, who had a great time in Montreal? We see Aaron Solo. Wait, people went to Montreal? Sorry. We then get a look at footage of QT Marshall defending his Latin America title, which, that's pretty cool. We then see Solo and John Mundo have a little shade off, handshake, and then they get a message from QT Marshall who says, looking for a partner with these attributes. And Mundo pretty much says, oh, he's obviously talking about me. So we're going to get some tag team action with Marshall and Mundo coming pretty soon. We then get an in-ring interview from Don Callis and Takeshita, with Don Callis saying, look, a few weeks ago, the wrestling world was abuzz at my so-called pursuit of Jericho, but I ended up with the man I really wanted, Sammy Guevara. And then Sammy comes out. He gets on his own microphone, pretty much says, Don, if you can believe it, I hated you at first. Almost as much as these people hate you. Started with a chorus of boos from the crowd. You were trying to rip apart my family, but then you showed me I never really had one until now. Takeshita, Sammy Guevara, and Callis hug. Then Guevara continues, I turned on Jericho because he was holding me back. He was taking me for granted. Jericho, I don't need you, and I'm done trying to earn your love. Jericho, you're dead to me. Ooh. That brings out Chris Jericho. He starts brawling with Guevara and Takeshita. Takeshita then goes out, grabs a chair, hits Jericho a couple of times with it. Then Don Callis whips out the screwdriver, tries to jam it right into Jericho's head. Out comes, of all people, Kenny by God Omega, who makes the save. Then we get Jericho and Omega kind of back to back. They turn, look like they're going to hit each other. Jericho says, thanks. We then go backstage where it's starts out as a Kenny Omega interview. Pretty much says, look, I don't care about Jericho. I wasn't doing that for him. I did what I did to get back at Don Callis. Then Jericho comes in. He's a little winded. Pretty much says, I appreciate you saving me, but let's get this straight. Don would have never seen this coming. Let's team up to take on Don Callis and his family at Wrestle Dream, where it'll be me, you, Omega and Jericho, and Kota Ibushi taking on Sammy Guevara and Konosuke Takeshita and a partner of their choosing. Which, that'll be revealed on Collision, actually. So, yeah, definitely a lot to be excited about for next weekend. We then get a number one contendership match for the Ring of Honor tag team titles for Wrestle Dream. You got the Best Friends, that's Chuck Taylor and not Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta. You got the Kingdom, that's Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. You got the Righteous, that's Vincent and Dutch. And you got the Hardy Boys, that's Matt and Jeff Hardy. And honestly, this match was pretty much just like it was controlled chaos, and I loved every single second of it. A lot of good back and forth between all the teams, with some trying to steal wins, but then that gets broken up. Near the end, everyone hits their finisher. Jeff hits a twist of fate and a swanton. Vincent tags in, hits a swanton of his own on Trent. With your winners, and moving on to Wrestle Dream, the Righteous. Dig what I'm saying? So, yeah, very fun match. Post-match, you see the Kingdom and the Best Friends brawl a bit. So, looks like that rivalry is going to continue. We then get a Mike Santana promo, which, if you don't know who Mike Santana is, he's one half of Proud and Powerful, former Proud and Powerful. They are now not a tag team anymore. Him pretty much saying, look, going off to heel for me, that was the easy part. Now, dealing with the mental side, that was the hard part. Looking out the window, thinking about where I could be, it took its toll. But now I'm here, I'm better than ever, and I'm going to put you down, and if you don't like it, fight me. So, nice little new attitude from Mike Santana. Going to be interesting to see where it goes. We then get the Trios title on the line as the Dark Order, that's Evil Uno, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds, take out the Acclaimed, that's Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and Daddy Ass Billy Gunn. And honestly, this match started off a little slower than I really wanted. It did end up picking up by the middle and the end, where we did have an arrival into a mic drop for a 2 count, which I don't think I've seen anybody kick out of that. Dark Order gets some stuff in. Then after a famouser and a forlong, I don't know, it was like, it looked like a magic killer, but it was more like a flatliner kind of move. I don't know, it was new and it was weird. So, your winners, still Trios Tag Team Champions, The Acclaimed. Because everybody loves The Acclaimed. We then get what was supposed to be Willow Nightingale versus Julia Hart turns into Sky Blue versus Julia Hart. And honestly, I'm wrong. Willow Nightingale was supposed to be Collision. That's right. So, nice competitive match, but after a crossface, your winner, Julia Hart. She won't let go of Sky Blue. This brings out Willow Nightingale to make the save. We then go backstage for a promo from Bullet Club Gold, the Bang Bang Gang, with Jay White pretty much saying, look, for a while until 2015, no one really knew who I was. Now I'm the greatest wrestler of this era, and now you're going to try to gain Andrade, you're going to try to gain some notoriety from my coattails, and while the world doesn't know you right now, they will once I beat you. So, nice little short and sweet promo from Jay White, who is at this point a master. Can't wait for that matchup. We then get Mike Santana making his singles debut against Buff Bronson of the Iron Savages. And it was decent. It was overall an extended squash in which Mike Santana won with the Implant Buster. And then post-match, Ortiz, his former tag partner, comes out on the ramp. Santana walks up, they have a little face-to-face, they jaw a little bit, and then Santana walks backstage. So, looks like we're getting a Santana versus Ortiz feud going forward. That sounds interesting to me. We then get our main event for Rampage, as it's the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles on the line, as the Embassy, that's Brian Cage, Toa Liona, and Bishop Gunn, take on the Hung Bucks. That's Hangman Adam Page, Matt, and Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks. And honestly, all 6 of these guys worked really, really well together. Kind of near the middle, where Strickland is on the ramp and his music plays. So we get the Prince Nana dance, which is... that's always funny to me. I'm sorry. Near the end, everyone pretty much hits their stuff. Brian Cage goes for the drill claw. That gets countered into the roll-up by Hangman. So your winners, new Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions, the Hung Bucks. Honestly, this was a heck of a main event. Very, very entertaining. And while I'm a little sad that the Embassy lost the 6-man tag titles, maybe it'll lead to something interesting down the line. Alright, that is it for Rampage. We then go right into... Collision. And we get a little match rundown with these quick little promos from everyone. Which, that's a little weird. I'm going to tell you that. That felt weird. Then we get our TNT title match as Darby Allin and Christian Cage challenge Luchasaurus. And honestly, this starts out with Christian Cage rolling out of the ring. And Luchasaurus and Darby Allin going at it for a bit. Christian Cage then gets back in. Chair shot to Darby Allin. Looked like Luchasaurus was going to get the pin. But Cage is like, dude, what are you doing? So he then goes out and gets... separates the ring steps from the ring. Sends Darby Allin careening over it. Luchasaurus trying for some choke slams. That gets countered a couple of times into 2 counts. And then Christian Cage goes out, grabs the TNT title. Looks like he's going to hit Darby Allin with it. He misses, eats a super kick. Then Luchasaurus picks it up. He's just looking at it. He's like, because in story, Christian Cage has been holding it, calling himself the TNT champion. So this is kind of the first time Luchasaurus has held this. So then he hits Darby Allin with the title belt. That leads to a 2 count. Darby Allin with the coffin drop on a Luchasaurus. Christian Cage then goes, throws Darby Allin out of the ring, and Christian Cage pins Luchasaurus to officially become the new TNT champion. So then it looks like Luchasaurus is going to turn on Christian Cage like he's angry. Then Christian Cage embraces Luchasaurus and they celebrate together. I got a funny feeling Luchasaurus is going to have some ill meanings for Christian Cage down the line. Then we get a little Don Callis interview where he pretty much says, look, this whole thing makes me sick to my stomach. Omega and Jericho on the same page, but Omega, I know your weakness, and it's your love for Kota Ibushi. The reason you care for him is what makes you weak. And as great as you are, I got 2 great up-and-comers. And the 3rd member of our team is Will Ospreay. And you think this is going to be my nightmare? Nope. At Wrestle Dream, it's going to be yours. And we're going to finish this at Wrestle Dream. So, personally, if you saw me on social media, I called Wardlow for this spot. Because, honestly, I want to see more Wardlow. Where has the dude been? Anyway, either way, Wrestle Dream's definitely going to be interesting. We then get an interview from Christian Cage and Luchasaurus, with Christian Cage pretty much saying, look, with this win, I have now solidified myself as the greatest TNT champion ever, and I dedicate this next match, that match, to Nick Wayne's parents, and I'm ready to be done with Darby Allin. Interviewer then interjects, says, well, it looks like you're not done with Darby Allin, as Tony Khan has pretty much announced that your next challenger for Wrestle Dream will be Darby Allin in a 2 out of 3 falls match. And of course that pisses off Christian Cage. He's like, Tony! Going to look for Tony Khan. We then get this very interesting tag team match, playa, as Hook teams up with Rob Van Dam to take on Daddy Magic Matt Menard and Cool Hand Angelo Parker. And honestly, this wasn't a horrible match, but it wasn't... It was a good match, but it was good little TV match. For whatever reason, Angelo Parker brings in a chair, misses on a swing, then Rob Van Dam with a Van Terminator, which is a big spin kick into the chair, into the dude's face. Hook takes out the partner with the red rum. RVD with the 5-star frog splash to pick up the victory. We then get a nice little Eddie Kingston promo saying, look, I'm not just going to sit by and not defend my titles. At Wrestle Dream, I'm going to defend both my titles against a dream challenger I've always wanted to face, current pure champion Katsuyori Shibata. And whoo, that match is going to slap. Cannot wait for that. We then get a very weird Dark Order promo in which they kind of go back, if you remember them in the kind of first years of AEW, where they did the recruitment promos. They kind of do this here. And they finish it up with Dark Order is good and we are here for you. So, looks like Dark Order is going on a recruiting drive, and we'll see who they pick up. Then we get a Kingdom promo, which they say, neck health is important. We're gonna support our friend Roderick Strong. And Righteous, best friends, you took away what we deserve. You felt the power of our wiener punch. So, best friends, next week we challenge you to a tag match. So, nice short and sweet promo from the Kingdom, setting up their next feud. Now, this next match, it was supposed to be Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale, but something happened with Willow, so instead, it's Julia Hart versus Kyrie Hogan, in which it was entertaining, but overall, your winner via the Blackout, which is her finisher name, Julia Hart. And then, of course, the attack continues for a bit. Out comes Sky Blue to try to make the save. And Julia with the Black Mist. So we're bringing that corrupting power back. Hopefully we'll see it. Then Julia Hart gets on the mic, pretty much saying, look, these attacks will continue, will not end until I get Chris Statlander in a shot at the TBS title at Wrestle Dream. Until then, these are going to continue. So, we'll see if this match gets made official. I believe it does. Then we get a very weird Righteous vignette. Pretty much saying, look, we're not going to rest. We're done resting under the shadows of purity. We have come to purify the Ring of Honor tag team titles. So, yeah, nice little short and sweet thing from the Righteous, hyping up their tag title match. Next up, and I can't believe this wasn't the main event. You got Jay White taking on Andrade El Idolo in what was a pretty much perfect little matchup. At times, Bullet Club Gold did try to get involved, but Andrade did fight them back in the end. However, after the Guns distract the ref, and Juice Robinson comes in, smacks Andrade with the clipboard, and then after a Blade Runner, your winner, Jay White. We then get a promo from Ortiz, formerly of Proud and Powerful. Yeah, he's pretty much says, yeah, I'm going all in on this. You're doing to me what you've been doing for all our lives. You looked into my eye and you ran from your problems. Well, you're not going to be able to run for much longer. So, Santana and Ortiz program, that should be fun. We then get a promo from Shane Taylor Promotions. Shane Taylor talking about Keith Lee. Said, we came into Ring of Honor about the same time. We dominated as a team. But then you left to go up north to WWE. Well, now it's my time. You're standing in my way. now I'm going to step up to Lee. But next week, you have to step up to Lee Moriarty. So, that's going to be an interesting little matchup. We then get Aussie Open on commentary as they watch the AEW Tag Team title match as FTR take on the Workhorsemen. And honestly, the Workhorsemen were the MVPs of this match. Don't get me wrong, I love FTR. They're one of my favorite tag teams currently. But the Workhorsemen definitely brought it and showed why they deserved this title shot. But after a powerbomb into a sharpshooter, your winners, still AEW Tag Team Champions, FTR. Then Aussie Open get in the ring. They have the microphones. You pretty much say, hey, congratulations, champs. Keep those titles warm for us because you're in for the fight of your lives at Wrestle Dream. Then FTR said, look, what happened to Aussie Open? Why we challenge you to this match? Everything we say, we are. And you're just sacrificial lambs to the best friends. And now you're facing the greatest tag team of all time. You gotta bring that dog or don't show up. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting little matchup. We then get a CJ Perry interview. If you don't remember her, that's the former Lana who has made her AEW debut. Pretty much saying about Miro, he lost his way. Now I'm trying to help him. I'm trying to help him find his path. But he seems a bit preoccupied with something. Then in comes Miro, who pretty much says, my temptation has always been you. My path to save... You're on my path to save them. And if you say, stay. And then Lana interrupts him, pretty much saying, what's going to happen if I stay? That you're going to save me? Look, you can go off and do your thing. Just don't interrupt me and my new clients. So it looks like Perry is going to be managing some other people in AEW, which, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, and our main event, a Texas death match, pitting Ricky Starks against Bryan Danielson. And, woo! Man, this thing was brutal. Like, it was rough. They threw everything but the kitchen sink at one another. Ricky Starks tries for a spear right off the bat, but he misses. And, yeah, it looks like they really don't like each other. And, hey, maybe they don't. At one point, Danielson gets Ricky Starks in the label lock, but then he fights out of it. Then Danielson wraps his knee with a chain that Ricky Starks brought in. Hits the Busaiku knee, and that leaves Ricky Starks out for the 10 count. So your winner, Bryan Danielson. And then Danielson collapses. Out comes Wheeler Yuta and Big Bill to check on their teammates. And then Yuta just shoves Big Bill for whatever reason. I don't know. Looks like maybe this rivalry isn't over. But overall, a really awesome main event. Very hard-hitting. And I can't recommend it to anyone else. This was a great match. Alright, that is it for me. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like the video. Comment your favorite match or moment from this week in wrestling. Coming later on this week, I think I'm going to try to do it on Thursday, will be my predictions for Wrestle Dream, which I'm definitely hyped for. Friday will be my regular coverage of This Week in Pro Wrestling. And, yeah, definitely an interesting couple weeks coming in wrestling. I'm excited. I hope you are too. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.